And even if another president comes in and wants to start changing this around, most of the world isn't going to be that quick to realign to the states anyways. But we're not looking at the states and its policies. We're looking at him running the business of the states, running the country. He thinks he's running. Who's to blame for running the country? He's to blame for running the country. Who's going to pay the cost of all these? These costs are coming up. But the Pluto, that's military or CIA or FBI. Those are people confronting his finances, doing an audit of where he spent his money, where it came from. And he's got money all around the world, and they're trying to make it a point where it's a lot of money in other countries that you don't pay for, whatever. I don't know if he still showed his books or his finances to the auditing agencies. So you can see more controls coming in and around him, and a tendency to want to escape from it in Neptune. But even if you see these, like, even his religious roots that are backing him up his presidency, because he's against the globalization and that disruptiveness going towards the rapture, towards the end of things. He's a force of disrupting things. That's why he's good to be there. Even his followers have expectations of him that he's not going to be able to live up to. They're like cloistered around him. Isn't exactly true. He owns a lot of hotels, a lot of businesses. Maybe he get challenged again. I mean, you would think his property deals and that he'd be more free to use them after he got out of the presidency, but maybe there's more controls on him where he's not allowed to. There's certainly an incredible amount of financial control and great sorrow or confusion around his life over the next 3 years. And anything that would be conspiracy or someone coming up or all the big things are coming up and stressfully affecting where he hasn't really been affected by them yet. So he's avoided the wings of change of the Mueller investigation of that. It's not going to. By the time he gets into next year, this is all built up. It's not this year that the big things are building up. It's next year they're building up to it. But these are all building up. Hits happening before the election campaign comes in. So by the time he's elected, or by the time there's an election, he's in difficult straits. He's not appreciated. His appreciation is low. It's unlikely he would win under these. It wasn't like with Saturn coming up to oppose the Sun, it wasn't likely he was going to win that November, but it was just before those aspects came in. So his winning made him adjust his life and caused all these adjustments to his life, and realizing there's all these commitments and controls around his life he has to put up with. That was the Saturn opposing his Sun. He's working with a team he didn't want to necessarily work with, and having to learn, bide your time, learn through it. So the Saturn opposition's passed, so he may start wanting to use power and money in much more extreme ways over these time periods. But the opposition, the confrontations coming up from this, that's pretty huge. It's a tall order to maintain some kind of image or facade against the nature of these realities. So when you look at this, so my inclination is like, he's probably not going to get elected, not get the numbers he needs, and there'll be legal things coming right after it. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not 100% sure at this point. There were strong factors involved in this election that was involved with the progressions, which we haven't dealt with yet, and brought in another frequency of understanding, but that's not in the same. Those have changed somewhat also, but we just want to deal with this on the Saturn. So this is the practical thing that we're seeing, his nature, any lies that he has, any Mercury, Neptune things that he's lied about, they're showing the repercussions. Like right now, Saturn's hitting the Mercury this past year. So the repercussions of lies have been coming up. People have been finding out, he's saying this, not saying this, what's true, what's false news. You know, so anything against him, that's false news. Well, news has always been false, but within bounds, usually. Anyways, these are ways, but there's a totally different texture. He's had it easy for the last few years. It's not easy once he gets out of this year and going forward. It's no longer easy. So if he thinks he hasn't had it easy now, it's way more difficult in starting 2020. Now, what happens if his health goes? And it's a health problem that comes up. He's a healthy guy. You wouldn't so far with the test and everything, it's nothing showing around his health. So you think the health, you think family members not being reliable. The moon is the past, deceptions from the past, scandals from the past coming up, and actually allegiance, guilt, dependencies, expectations of him. So if he has some debts and expectations to Russia or whatever, and they want to collect and there's no money, and he's not able to do it, there's going to be the Pluto confronting his Venus. Where's the money? Why not? Why can't I do this? I can't live with it. And then there's a very harsh factors here. If he survives these things, he gets like he'll live through them. But when you're measuring out the outer world, there's a stall. Like someone having this, if they were in a spiritual point, they'd be getting so disenchanted with the world, they'd be ready to go on a retreat and go meditate for a couple of years and not think about anything. But this is outside in the world in a much more complicated manner. So everyone was talking about the big eclipses that happened just past and how they're affecting charts of countries and certain things. Well, here's someone born in the big eclipse there, went right over the States and was concerned about, well, the eclipse was there. He's born on an eclipse. Who knows? Like, you can't work it on fears. There's just some things going on here that's incredibly significant, not comfortable, not pleasant, not likable, expensive, not pleasant for Donald Trump. So if he's had it easy up to now and he's got difficulties coming up to deal with this, boy, it looks like all the forces there could be are stepped up against him during the election campaign year, leading right up to the November. So if he starts trying to get more deceptive and more mudslinging, like, you can't get away with a lot. So there could be more scandals about great sorrows of immigrations and people in Neptune to the moon. There'd be harsh decisions. And all of those things, it's not, there might be a lot of people in the States that echo his attitude, maybe a slight majority, but it's not, he's threatening even people within his own party. So he could be turned on from within his own party even. Nobody wants to turn on the president. He's got there. Nobody else got there for years. Like, well, when we did Paul Manafort's chart last week, we saw how he was instrumental in the Bush campaign, Ford campaign, and in his campaigns, and how manipulative and how unreliable a person he was. Well, Trump's played with a lot of unreliable people, a lot of extreme and off-the-wall people. He's still playing with that in Korea, with Putin, with different people. He thinks he's in control of it. He's going to find he's not so much in control of it, just himself. So you can never know for sure. When you're doing, it's like weather forecasting. You see, we're seeing the weather, but I mean, so weather forecasts see the graphs, but they can make stupid predictions. It's going to be freezing rain. No, it's not. It didn't rain. It's going to be lots, 10 feet of snow. No, it's not. Sometimes it's just a little and it's way. The perspective is often distorted. So predictions are of the nature. They're educated guesses. Because he has a Neptune coming up to catch up with his past, Neptune to really guilt and sorts around family, that could be things about Stormy Daniels or things beginning to affect the family or whatever's coming in real or whatever. It's his Neptune is his dishonesty, his confusion in his mind, or his thinking he's the greatest in his own mind and not realizing, thinking how he's thinking is real and not thinking that it might be confused or deceptive. But it's his deceptive Neptune Mercury is feeding into this efforts of the past. So his ability to interpret the past properly is not really either. And that's going to make him look worse and worse and worse against the background of Pluto going over his means. And Saturn, his means are being cut away. He's going to try and justify it. You know, now this is the person, the minute he's no longer president, he could move to another country and be working in another country, and they can't say he can't. He could move to Russia and say, I'm just going to work from here, not in the States. And like, and then it would be a big threat to American security.